All right, it's been a minute since we talked to this guy, the head basketball coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Coach Nate Oats is with us on the Pepsi Hotline. What is up, Coach? How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks a lot. Let's start. I know it's a few days have passed, but your fans are still very excited about that win at Gonzaga. When you play a big-name program like that has done what Gonzaga has done, what does that do for your team to basically play a road game and beat them?
I mean, it gives you a lot of confidence. Shoot, that place was packed. There was like 18,000 people in there. I would say 17-8 maybe. We're pulling for Gonzaga. It may be a semi-neutral. It was a road game. That I think to go into a pretty hostile environment, kind of punch them in the mouth early like we did, and then they were able to come back. The crowd gets all behind them in the second half, and we're able to get the stops we needed and open it back up again. I think it gives our guys a lot of confidence that we can play with anybody anywhere.
I know you love all the elements of college basketball, but what is it like? We saw the video of the post-game celebration in that locker room. I mean, what's that like?
I mean, that's fun. I mean, it's, these guys are older. They're not kids, but they're still kids, like they want to have fun. And it's kind of reminds you why you do it. I was a high school coach not too long ago, and it's, you still back then you weren't making much money coaching, but it was still fun. I mean, you make a lot more money here, but it's still fun. Like, it's fun to be involved. There's a reason we got into coaching. There's a reason we got into sports. And that just kind of reminds you of why you're into it. You're into it. You want to compete. You want to get better. You may have better perks at this level, but it still comes down to you're having a lot of fun. You're with a group of guys that you built together as a family. And I really wasn't expecting. I guess I should have known, but shoot, I walked in, I saw them all standing there at the water bottles. At that point, you just jump in and enjoy it. You're going to get soaked. All this stuff can go to the cleaners. It's all worth it. So, matter of fact, I think I got it back from the cleaners yesterday, so we're all good to go.
The lucky suit.
Yeah, Nate Oats is with us, head coach of the University of Alabama. Your team made a run last year in the NCAA tournament. So many of those guys are back with some new parts. Do you see a harder edge on this team, that they have matured of what they learned last year, and early on in the year you sort of seen that carry over?
You know what? We've had a better start to this year than we did last year. Last year we started 4-3. I think guys have learned what it takes. I think we took a few losses last year to figure out exactly what it takes. I think the defensive side of the ball, particularly, Charlie Henry runs our defense. He put up a slide the other day in video that kind of showed our first 8 games last year, our first 8 games this year were right where we need to be, and we kind of took off last year. After those first 8 games, we need to take off again. And I think the defensive side of the ball against Gonzaga showed we're missing Herb Jones, we're missing Petty, we're missing some pretty key guys that were important to our defense, but we've still got a defensive identity that's there. And I think guys showed it. J.D. Davidson's coming around. Quinterly's really coming around as a defender. Shackelford's been great. We already know Keon Ellis can guard like that. Charles Bediako gives us a better rim protector than we've had. So I think our defensive, blueprint's there, the defensive identity's there, and it's there earlier than it was last year. Now we just got to improve. We had a lot of improvement kind of after those first 8 games last year. We need to have this similar thing this year.
Alabama basketball coach Nate Oats is with us on the Pepsi Hotline. Bama and Houston, 9 o'clock tip. That is not Eastern time. That is Central time. 9 o'clock tip in Tuscaloosa. It is an ESPN2 game if you can't make it out, but go see them play Houston. Another good team. That is kind of the story of this schedule. It is just good team after good team after good team that comes at you. Coach, is this the depth you want? I mean, when you just envision a team, this looks like an extremely deep team. Is this the depth you envision, or would you like an even deeper team?
You know what? We're playing 8 guys in the rotation. It'd be nice to be a little deeper, and I think we could get deeper. I mean, Keon Ambrose, coming off an injury, could give us a little bit more. Jason Holt still figuring himself out as a freshman. Those are 2 guys that could. Alex Chiku keeps looking better and better every day in practice. But, if you've got 8 in the rotation, I think you build pretty good chemistry. But then when one guy goes down, you've got some issues. That's why it's nice to have maybe a 9th, 10th guy or, more that are able to step in there and give you some minutes. And I think those other 3 guys are right on the cusp and could give us something. But, so far we've been able to avoid any injuries, serious ones. Juwan Gary missed a couple games there, but, even when he missed them, though, that gave us a chance to get Darius Miles more minutes. And I think Darius has been playing well for us. And, I like where we're at. I think all coaches get a little greedy. It's nice to have 9 all SEC players on your team, but that's not going to happen. But I like where we're at with the rotation and the depth and the chemistry we have right now.
Hey, through 8 games, you guys are averaging right at 33s per game. I know you want good looks, quality shots, but is there a number in your head you want to take per game?
Yeah, there isn't really. 30's probably about right. I know the 2 times we played Iona were the only 2 times we haven't got up at least 20. I think Coach Patino had a really good game plan, kind of trying to make us play one-on-one and not helping. But I think a lot of that's dictated by how the opponent guards you. Like when somebody guards you like Iona did, and they switch everything and they don't really help off the shooters, you're probably going to take a lot more 2s, but you got to have guys that can finish them against the switches. Teams that heavy collapse on all your drives, you're going to get a lot more 3s. You're going to get way less 2s. But, if we're getting close to 30, now, we made 23 of them last year in one game, made 22 the year before in a game. Like, I'm not opposed to taking 40 either if they're going to play you a certain way. So, or 50 if that's what it takes. But I think we'd like to get at least 30. But, like I said, if teams guard you differently, you're going to have to attack them a little bit differently.
There are some coaches that when guys hit the portal, they basically say, don't let the door hit you on your way out. But you guys, you went after Jaden Shackelford. You re-recruited him. Why was that so important to you? And what did you sell him on? Why'd you bring him back into the fold? What'd you sell him on?
Well, I think he's a really good kid to begin with. And I think they were really looking to see what type of NBA feedback could he make it. It's obviously a goal of most kids that play at this level. And I think he was our leading scorer last year. We were the 5th best team in the country in both polls at the end of the year. So the leading scorer and the 5th best team in the country probably should be looking to see what type of NBA feedback he gets. When he kind of got the feedback and, they realize he's got work to do, then the next question is, well, who's going to give us the best route to the NBA? And I think they needed to be sure in their heads that it was Alabama. And he and I had a good relationship. We talked through it, but I wasn't that upset. I mean, it's disappointing that maybe he looks at it as a coach, but I really wasn't that shocked and I really even wasn't that disappointed to be honest with you. I think going back to a high school coach, you just kind of say like, what's best for the kid? If you do what's best for the kid every time, I think it works itself out. And if what's best for him was to be convinced that this was the right spot for him, then look at the other options. If he looks at everything else and this is still the best spot, at least he knows that he's done his homework and he's come back here fully convinced is the best spot for him. We kept recruiting him. We really wanted him. He knew our system. He knew our players. He knew our staff. He was good in our system. We felt like he helped make our system really good. And we also felt like it was also true that our system helped make him look good too. So I think, and our system's closer to what the NBA is playing than anybody else in college basketball is. So I think when he looked at everything, he became convinced this is the right spot. He came back and he's been great ever since he got back. And sure, if he wasn't back, we probably don't beat Gonzaga, to be honest with you. I mean, he came out like he played as good a basketball as, he was the NCAA player of the week this week. So he's arguably the best player in college basketball this past week, which is saying a lot.
Late night tip tomorrow night against Houston, 9:00, Coleman Coliseum. And Kelvin Sampson's a guy we've had on the show and totally convinced he's been around long enough to coach against John Wooden. How well do you know Kelvin Sampson?
I know him a little bit. I mean, he's been really good to me on the road recruiting. Me and him talked about different stuff. We apparently they do like a kind of a staff fitness weight loss contest, like similar to what we do. And look, he's all the way back to when he was the Oklahoma coach, and I might have been Division III assistant back then. I mean, I've admired him. I like the way his teams play. They play hard. They're gritty. And I thought he's done a really good job. I thought he did a good job in Indiana. He went to the NBA. I don't want to say rebuilt himself because his teams always play hard and they have an identity about him. But, he's done things a little differently maybe since he went to the NBA and came back to college. And I think he's a really good coach. And I know him. Shoot, matter of fact, when we were down Final Four was in Houston. I stopped by their offices. My family took a cruise out of Galveston. Maybe it was when the Final Four was in Dallas, and we drove over to Houston. I can't remember, but I went by their offices and kind of talked to them for a while a few years back and picked his brain on some stuff. And I respect him. I know him well enough. I wouldn't say we're great friends but I would say we're friends. And I think we both got a mutual respect for what each other's done in the business.
Yeah, and smart move by you. He's old like me, and tipping at 9 o'clock. He can't be. I mean, that's after his bedtime. That's a smart move by you. Good coaching.
Jim, are you going to be at the game?
I'm planning on coming.
That's
a
great question, Jim. You're going to be there?
I'm a credentialed member of the media.
9 o'clock, Coach.
So you're coming on a 9 o'clock tip. Are you going to take a long nap in the afternoon? You ready to roll or what?
Aaron gave me his sofa in his office, and I'm going to sleep there at 5 o'clock and set my alarm for 7:30 to wake up and get out there with the student section.
I like it. I'm hoping the student section's there because finals are done today.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, maybe we might need to be like, where like they get the old band members when there's the students are all gone. We might, maybe you guys can get the old Crimson Chaos. I don't know, what was it called back in the day when you were there?
Oh wow!
Yeah, come on, Jim. Lance, you went to Alabama. What was it?
I don't think many showed up back. Well, no, it was when Wimp was coaching. So
that's when Wimp was there. It was the Plaid
Wimp
Palace.
had some play. Lance, what years were you? What years were you here?
I was 90 to 96, 90, 95. I was there 6 years.
What did you go 7 years to college?
Oh, 6 years, coach. I highly recommend that for anyone.
Yeah.
So I got some David Hobbs years in me too. Those weren't too good.
Oh, yes.
Wow. You're playing my alma mater. Look out next Saturday, Coach. I went to Jacksonville State. Ray Harper can coach them up. That's a trap game for you. Look out for Jack State.
Oh, Ray's good. Shoot, you know what? To be honest with you, my first year here, the year before I got here, we scrimmaged and I wasn't here.
Yep.
And Jacksonville State came in here and
I remember.
Yeah, they beat them up pretty good. Jacksonville State beat Alabama good. So I purposely called Ray and I'm like, no, we're gonna do this one over again. Like I told our guys, I'm like, look, man, like they came in here and kicked you in the mouth last year. Like I want to see what you guys are made of. So we had a scrimmage. We handled them all right in year one. I wanted to see what our guys had in them, and now we've been playing them. We played them this will be the second time we played them in a real game. So they're good, man. They're gonna play hard. I mean, Ray's one of those old school guys that you don't play hard, you don't play. And his kids always play hard and they're tough. But yeah, I mean, it could be a trap game if our guys aren't ready to go. That's for sure, because they're gonna play hard. And if you don't play hard, they're gonna rebound the ball and they're gonna guard you. So what do we got? A Jacksonville State alum,
Montevallo for me. Montevallo for me.
Jim, what are you?
Montevallo with Chris Stewart. Chris Stewart and I.
That's right. That's where Chris Stewart went. Now Chris is more famous.
All the nice radio voices come out of Montevallo.
That's right. That's right. Yes, it's that Montevallo to Tuscaloosa pipeline. It's very, very popular. Short drive.
Chris was there before you or after you?
He actually replaced me as the voice of the Falcons. And a short story, Coach. I went back the very first game Chris was calling, and I was thinking to myself, they're going to be like, Jim, we miss you. We miss you. Walk back in, they're like, hey, this new kid is really, really good. Nobody missed me 1 second. 1 second.
Yeah, Chris been pretty good.
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah, the game winners. He's got some pretty good calls out there.
Yeah. He does. All right, 4 more non-conference games. You got a top 15 matchup Saturday night in Tuscaloosa. You don't get a ton of those. Top 15 non-conference matchup, 9 o'clock, ESPN2 if you can't make it.
You guys are in charge of the student section for that game, by the way.
I'm going to give that to Lance.
I'm putting you in charge.
I'm going to suggest you play the second half at Innisfree. That's going to be my suggestion.
That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'll call my friends at Innisfree, and I'll get them to do some kind of ridiculous special for people staying in town Saturday night, just for you guys.
Lance, get it done. Call Trip. Call Trip as soon as we get off.
I love it.
He knows
You're
all the names.
Wired in, man.
Coach is invested.
So wired in.
He's invested in Tuscaloosa. That's the way it ought to be. Coach, it's great to catch up again. I know we'll do it a lot soon. Good luck against Houston. We greatly appreciate the time.
All right. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you guys. Merry Christmas.